Sony Pictures' Kraven the Hunter might have been a box office bust, but its unexpected success on streaming platforms is rewriting the narrative. Despite its theatrical underperformance, Kraven found new life online, climbing the charts and earning fresh attention from fans. Now, with Marvel Studios preparing for Spider-Man, Brand New Day, and the multiverse narrative in full swing, Sony has a rare opportunity: revive the amazing Spider-Man universe and give fans the long-awaited return of Andrew Garfield. Kraven's streaming resurrection is no fluke. When Kraven the Hunter hit theaters, the response was tepid at best. Critics were unimpressed, and the film earned just $62.1 million globally against a reported $110 to $130 million budget. Yet audiences on streaming platforms were more forgiving, praising the film's grounded action, creative character work, and unexpected emotional beats. On Rotten Tomatoes, user ratings hit a respectable 73%, indicating that general viewers were far more receptive than the critics. The film itself is an ambitious dive into the darker, more brutal corners of Marvel's rogue gallery. Aaron Taylor-Johnson delivers a gritty performance as Sergei Kravenov, a man caught between predator and protector. Alongside him are deep cuts from Spider-Man's mythos: Fred Heckinger as Chameleon, Alessandro Nivola as a powered-up rhino, and Christopher Abbott as the hypnotic foreigner. These are the A-list villains that general audiences recognize, but they each carry strong comic book legacies that Kraven took seriously, even as it reimagined them for modern audiences. The spider-sized hole in Sony's universe. Despite all of Kraven's strengths, it lacked the one ingredient that fans crave: Spider-Man himself. Like Morbius and Madam Web before it, Sony's standalone villain stories suffer from a glaring absence. These characters were made to challenge Spider-Man, and without him, their arcs feel incomplete. But Sony doesn't need to invent a new Spider-Man or wait for Tom Holland's next appearance. Thanks to Spider-Man: No Way Home, audiences have embraced the concept of multiple wall crawlers, and more importantly, they've fallen back in love with Andrew Garfield's version of the character. His performance in No Way Home reminded fans why the Amazing Spider-Man films had such a passionate following, and his line about becoming rageful and no longer pulling his punches created the perfect narrative doorway. Enter Kraven, a rageful Spider-Man versus the Hunter. One of the biggest missed opportunities in Kraven the Hunter was its failure to connect directly to any Spider-Man. But the groundwork is already laid for a brutal, emotionally charged face-off. In No Way Home, Garfield's Peter is still mourning Gwen Stacy. He's lost, angry, and dangerously close to crossing a line. In Kraven, Sergei is cast as a morally complex antihero with a personal code, one that clashes with anyone acting out of uncontrolled rage. Pairing these two versions of the characters could produce one of the most compelling stories in the Spider-Man mythos: a hunter tracking a Spider-Man who's lost his way. Rather than pitting good against evil, it becomes a clash of trauma, morality, and redemption. Both men are broken. Both have reasons to hate. And both have the potential to bring each other back from the edge, or destroy one another. Why Andrew Garfield deserves a proper send-off. Garfield's Spider-Man had the shortest run of any live-action Peter Parker. He appeared in just 2 solo films, with a third abruptly scrapped after The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But his fan base never left. If anything, No Way Home reignited demand for his return. Social media campaigns like #MakeTSM3 have trended consistently, and Garfield himself has expressed interest in returning, especially for a darker, more character-driven story. Sony doesn't need to reboot or recast. They just need to continue. By reviving the Amazing Spider-Man timeline, they give Garfield's Peter a chance to evolve. Not into the quipping optimist of the MCU, but into a Spider-Man molded by loss, struggling to stay heroic in a darker world. That's the perfect match for Kraven, whose own inner conflict mirrors Peter's. Kraven's second wind could launch a new, old universe. Sony's attempts at a Spider-Verse without Spider-Man have yielded mixed results, but the success of Kraven on streaming proves that interest still exists, especially if these characters are used with care. Instead of abandoning the franchise or starting from scratch, Sony should embrace what's already working: nostalgia, the multiverse, and Andrew Garfield's redemptive arc. A Kraven vs. Spider-Man sequel could blend brutal action with emotional stakes, while giving both characters room to grow. It could be R-rated, artistically driven, and refreshingly different from Marvel Studios' mainline tone. And most importantly, it would be something fans have actively asked for. The verdict: it's time to make the dream a reality. Sony doesn't need another villain origin story. What it needs is a story with heart, teeth, and a Spider-Man fans already love. Kraven the Hunter may not have conquered the box office, but it proved that audiences are willing to give this universe a chance, if Sony plays its cards right. Bring back Andrew Garfield. Let him face off against Kraven. And finally, give the amazing Spider-Man the ending it always deserved.